What's crazy to me is this series is getting better by the week. There's more questions, but always more answers at the same time. I think everything's falling together in a very interesting way, tying to the original series very well, while retaining a lot of originality. But then I'll go to places like Reddit and see the comment section on what people thought of the episode, and they're saying either A, there's too many questions and they don't understand what's going on, or they just feel like they need to drop this. And I'm sitting here thinking, this since episode 1 has been one of the most interesting and most anticipated series every single week for me, and then I look at other places and I just see people hating on it. I just find it interesting, but I love this episode. Whether the internet loves it or not, I love this episode. There was so many answers that happened here. A lot of the stuff with Taku that it was just interesting with his character. I had a pretty good conversation last week in last week's comment section with someone, and we were talking about what Taku's ability could be, and it was mentioned that what if he had the ability to kind of alter reality? What if he had some sort of reality manipulation? As back in episode 1, he was seeing things that other characters weren't seeing when he saw the dead person on the bed. So it was interesting. I was like, yeah, maybe they could go in that route. And this episode pretty much, in my opinion, guarantees his ability relates to some sort of reality manipulation. There's a lot of keys with delusions, but Taku throughout this episode, he has multiple scenes, like when they're in the freezers for the dead bodies, I forget what they're called there, but where they put the dead bodies to store them so they don't go pretty much rotten. When he's in there, he sees pretty much a vision. It goes in this weird form where these zombies are literally attacking them in their cells there, and pretty much it stops and he kicks back into reality. So either A, he was seeing a future that could have happened, or B, whatever was happening with his mind, he was fearing what could have happened, and that could have became reality, but he snapped back into it before his delusion became reality. I think his psychic power is something along the lines of whatever he visions can actually happen, and sometimes his visions are crossing what is reality and what hasn't become reality yet. That's where I see it going. But we see that he was in this place where all this experimentation happens, in the same place that in Chaos Head, where these D-swords were pretty much made with these gigolomaniacs, there is what they were called in Chaos Head. So this is the same place, but here, it seems like when he was a kid, there was this other girl who did survive. Most people who underwent this child experimentation, they lost their mind and they're pretty much kept prisoner. But there's 2 people so far that we know of. Of course, there was this girl that everyone knows, but not everyone knows that Taku himself was there, as we see him in a flashback with this other girl. So obviously he has psychic powers. It's guaranteed with the visual presentation in his delusions, but the fact that he was at this place where these powers are made obviously guarantees he has it. But I'm putting my money reality manipulation. There's a lot of similarities to him and the main character in the original series. I'm not surprised if he can alter reality and create things in reality with his mind. But this girl also survived. We saw her in a pretty brutal scene with his gag and everything like that. It was pretty actually kind of scary to see a child in that situation, but she did survive, and this is the whole point. Now, some people were kind of confused, like, they were just like, why are they there? I mean, last week we're at the school, why are we here? But in episode 2, they talked about this hospital, so they were bound to go there. Just last week, we didn't go there yet. So some people are saying, like, they're skipping over information. This information was literally in episode 2. They were talking about this hospital, and I made theories that it could tie into the original series. So this information was there. I just feel like some people are not paying attention, and then are getting upset that every episode they're not spoon-feeding you the exact same information, which I think would be a little absurd if that's what you're thinking, but hey, opinions. One thing, though, throughout the episode is I was really putting my money on Onoe, I think is her name, the pink-haired girl or red-headed girl, I forget her hair color at this moment, but it just seemed like she was a little too good at finding unlocked doors and finding the path, and for a while I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if she has some sort of ability, like she's able to sense directions or something like that, but then it kind of got tossed aside in favor of Taku and this other girl. But I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow all end up with powers in some way. But at this current moment, the only one in the main cast I see having powers would be Taku and his sister, or not his sister, but is his sister, you know how it is. Those are the only 2 right now I can say for sure have powers in terms of the cast inside this group that they're a part of, this newspaper club, or whatever the hell club they're a part of. But it's interesting seeing how everything's tying together. We get to see that flashback with Taku as a kid, and it just, obviously there's more questions. How did Taku survive? What exactly is his power? But it does answer the fact of, why is he the key star to the show? Why is everything being linked to him? Well, he was in this experimentation here, and obviously he has some sort of power, and I wouldn't be surprised if these murders could be happening because of his own mind, and he's creating these cases, these sequences where people are getting killed without even knowing it, and whatever he's imagining becomes reality. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually controlling the strings of everything happening here without actually knowing. or he's been manipulated by someone else, because it does seem like his reality is merging, or his delusions are merging with reality and is becoming reality and not just a delusion. That's where I see it going. But I think this was the best episode. I think the series is interesting every single week. There's always more questions. But in terms of all like the semicolon series, this is giving more answers than a lot would at this early of the stage. As usually by episode 7 or 8 is when you start kind of making sense of everything that's happening. But we're only on episode 4 and things are already starting to make a lot of sense. Obviously there is still a lot of questions, but we need those questions as we're still early in the series. It would be boring if we had all the answers already. But they are giving a lot of answers, so I can't really understand why some people are saying nothing makes sense when, unless you're just kind of on social media while you watch these episodes, everything is pretty damn clear in terms of what's happening, just we don't know why everything's happening just yet. But one thing that was really interesting is this other girl who survived the experimentation looks very similar as a child to Remy, I forget her name exactly, but she was the main female lead who was attracted or pretended to be attracted to the main character in Chaos Head, which at first, a little while, I was like, is she the same character? She isn't. Different name, different looks, things like that, but she looks very similar, so I'm curious if maybe they could have been sisters or related in some way, as there is a lot of tie-ins to the original series. But it'll be interesting where they go with that. But this series is just, it's amplifying in such a way. I just hope it ends on a positive note. But so far, I'm loving the pacing. The characters are getting more interesting by the week. There's more questions, but also more answers. I'm having a blast with this. And really, the visual presentation, when they were kind of going into this kind of weird, static kind of shot to really show reality kind of breaking in our main character's mind, I thought it was a nice touch in the animation. But for anyone who watched this episode, how are you enjoying this series? What do you think Taku's ability is? Are you with me on this, that he has reality manipulation and his delusions are becoming reality unless he snaps back in before they do become reality? Or what do you think his power could be? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, hit that like button if you did enjoy the video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Till until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.